Welcome to the Coalition for Self-Direction. Our agenda is up. Just a quick run through. You'll be hearing from Stacy. Uh, right after that, Vinny from Government Relations will give you an update. Susanna will talk about the legislature. Jackie will talk about some of the media coverage she has had. And then really one of our main events is Marguerite is here to talk about some recent legal decisions that are quite exciting. Uh, Less exciting, I'll take you through a new Know Your Rights Quick Start document. And perhaps the most exciting of all, we have a guest appearance from the IDD Ombuds. So definitely stick around for that. And then we'll finish up with Susanna. So with that, I will turn it over to my colleague and fellow co-founder of Coalition for Self-Direction, Stacy Kagan.
My name's Stacy Kagan, and I have a son that is 17 years old on the autism spectrum. And we've had self-direction since he was about 8 years old. And I am one of the co-founders along with Jim and Jackie. And we have two of our other board members here, Susanna and Molly, Susanna Montez and Molly Sebastian. And we welcome you all. We're really excited that you're here with us today. And we have some really wonderful news to share. We have been in the process of trying to get our 501c3 for Families for Disability Rights. That's our parent organization. And it's the nonprofit that our first, the Coalition for Self-Direction is our first initiative. And, that's kind of what you all know us by. So we are finally certified, which brings along with it many wonderful things. And one of those things is for a lot of you who have thus far donated, we'll be able to get some tax credit for you. And for those of you who are thinking of donating, we really welcome that. And we really would love you guys to donate. It helps us with this initiative. Just like you guys, we're all parents. This is all volunteer based. This money is not going towards us. This is going towards funding the efforts that we are putting forth for our loved ones every day. And we're really working so hard to try to make a difference, to educate you guys, educate ourselves, and get awareness out there and make change and make a difference. And with that, the only person that we do have that is actually, paid is our public relations person, that's just Vinny Rossetti, he's right here. And he is going to speak to you guys a little bit about what he's doing for the effort and for the coalition and what makes us different from a lot of the other nonprofits. So go ahead, Vinny, take it away.
Great. Thank you, Stacy. Appreciate it. And thanks everyone for having me today. It's great to work with the board of C4SD and really glad to hear that the 501c3 status came through. Guess we should give a shout out maybe to Chuck Schumer to help get that through in the final days of the year, I guess first days of the new year. So as Stacy mentioned, I'm proud and it's a pleasure to be able to help the coalition and the organization with state government relations work. So a lot of our efforts, over the past several months have really been targeted at OPWDD leadership there in the governor's office to try to enact positive policy and regulatory change and to get relief for families, right, in relation to the community class issue, that really sort of, right, was the genesis of this group forming. But as Stacy mentioned, right, with this 501c3 status for FDR, right, there'll be other initiatives, other things we'll be getting involved in for advocacy. So we've spent a lot of time, cultivating relationships with the governor's office and OPW and trying to get some policy reform and changes. And that's also branched out to other organizations within government as well that are sort of tangentially involved in monitoring oversight and compliance with the Medicaid program. So I just also wanted to mention too that we're going to be really starting in earnest work with the legislature. Right, within our branches of government, the Assembly and Senate are also very important in getting change done. Right, they have a say in the budget process. They can, call to task agencies in the governor's office when they're not doing something they're supposed to. And most importantly, they can pass pieces of legislation through their houses to enact positive change as well, or also to stop bad things from happening. They also have an important stake in the budget process. So to that end, we've set up some meetings with chairs of the Disabilities Committee within the legislature in the coming days that we're going to be, meeting with, introducing C4SD and these issues. And then we're also working on a lobbying effort for later this year in early March, where we can start educating elected officials on these issues to sort of tee up being able to ask them to do advocacy on our behalf at the governor's office and the state agencies. So hopefully that's a quick, helpful recap sort of some of the work that we've been doing, some of our plans for the future. And hopefully that's also a good segue into the next part of our agenda as well.
Hi, everyone. Good afternoon. My name is Susana Montes. Some of you may know me. I am a parent. I have a 17 years old, also on the autism spectrum. And I'm here to let you know that we would like you to tell your story. I can tell you, for example, in my own case, I have contacted one of my elected officials. His name is Al Taylor, and I am going to meet him. I'm going to meet him. I'm going to let him know, my story, what's going on with self-direction. We all love self-direction. It's a great program, but we have some hurdles that we need to find out how to bypass them. Unfortunately, there has been a lot of things going on with self-direction. As great as it is, it's really causing some difficulties in order for us to access the money for our loved ones. So basically, what I would like to basically ask you today is to please call me your local elected officials, your legislators. Let them know what's going on with self-direction. Let them know that your story, if you can bring your child, or maybe go with a friend, or maybe your husband, anybody. If you can invite me, I'll go with you too. Please tell your story. Tell the legislator what's going on with self-direction, how important self-direction is for you and for you overall for your loved ones. And let them know, I'm here to support you, but I need your help. We have a toolkit in our website, the self-direction, the Coalition for Self-Direction, that can help you become an advocate. As we know, it's not easy to come, hey, let's use later. My name is so-and-so, and this is what's going on. This is something that we can help you. I'm happy to help you myself. I'm in the process of doing it. And it's, many times, and I know most of you know this, the legislators, they don't know. They don't understand self-direction. They have no idea. So let us make it our role for our loved ones to educate them and to let them know, listen, I will support you, but I need your help. So that's all I want to say for now. We'll talk to you later in the agenda. Thank you so much. Enjoy the meeting.
And Susanna, just before we turn it over to Jackie for the next segment, I want to emphasize that one thing we've realized is when you talk to people about self-direction, lead with how wonderful it is. I made the mistake for a decade of when I talked to people, I led with, here's the problems, here's the difficulties. So we want to tell them about it, but first we want to give them the context that it's this wonderful program that really creates meaningful lives. Then here's the headwinds that we're encountering. Here's the problems. And as Susanna pointed out, we are available to help you. If you're not comfortable, phone us, phone a friend. We'll go with you to the meeting. We'll help you get ready for the meeting. Let me go ahead and throw Jackie into the mix now.
Hi, everybody. I'm Jackie Cianzo, co-founder along with my colleagues here of Family for Disabilities Rights and this first initiative, Coalition for Self-Direction. Many of you may know me as I'm also the founder of SNAC, which does offer classes that usually get reimbursed for my self-direction in the community class issue. But like everybody else, we've been having some struggles. My son, Joe, is 29, and he's been self-directing for, probably 10 years. And we have just gotten him into his own place 4 nights a week and with staff. So that's been a real big game changer for us. So Joe's got a great life. We just got to make sure it stays that way. I know somebody mentioned CDPAP is another point of advocacy that we have all been fighting for. So we certainly don't want to see what happened to CDPAP happen to our self-direction fiscal intermediaries. So The more we advocate and the more we are prepared, we're in such a better position this year than we were last. I'm supposed to talk about media. A couple of weeks ago, the snack program was featured on Good Morning America, GMA3. If you Google it, you can find it, and you can watch the clip. I asked them to focus on the plight of our adult kids as we reach 21 and that cliff that is upon us. How nationally we need help, because that was a national platform. So obviously that helps when we're dealing with legislators and the like and government officials to see that we have the ability to get press. So that's one thing. I've also been trying to get us set up. We have 2 social media platforms. We have an Instagram, C4SD, which that logo like Jim has behind him. So if you can't find it, that's what it looks like. So we have Instagram and we have Facebook. Okay, so Marguerite is going to help us talk about the Know Your Rights segment that we have on the website, and she's been instrumental in this fight we've had with the community classes. So we have modified on our website this Know Your Rights page with everybody's help, but thanks to Marguerite and another dad, parents helping other parents in the legal area, we have some favorable decisions. So I'll let Marguerite talk you through that.
Thanks, Jackie. Yeah, I am a mother of a 23-year-old woman with intellectual disabilities. She's been self-directing for about 5 years, and it's been a generally good situation. I think, as I'm also an attorney, I'm also a support broker. I became a support broker because I couldn't quite figure out what self-direction really was, and people weren't explaining it to me, right? So I took the training and I became a support broker, and I've learned a lot. So as everyone knows, sometimes, and it's just started happening, I think about 2 years ago.
About 2 years.
About 2 years, yeah. That community classes have all of a sudden, the FIs have started not allowing them, not approving them for reimbursement. And it was hard to figure out the reasons for it, because the guidance is very clear. The guidance is a technical document. It sets out the details, the requirements, the standards for finding a community class allowable, any exceptions to that, and it's basically a checkbox. Does it teach a subject? Is it open to the public? Is it there's about five
criteria
inquiries that have to be made, and then several other inquiries that have to be made to see if it's if it should be excluded. Is it a class being taken for college credit, for example? That would exclude it. So there's a very clear guidance that OPWDD put out. And then all of a sudden, we're starting to get rejections based on things that are made up, that don't come from the guidance. It looks like this can be provided by ComHab workers. This is duplicative of a respite service, and all these other problems. And as everyone who's been in self-direction for the past few years and is going for community classes, everyone has seen something. So last year, one family brought a fair hearing, requested a fair hearing and received a fair hearing. That was EB, and what did OPWDD came into the fair hearing and said, "Oh no, there's no right for anyone to have a fair hearing. There's no, it's a FI decision, and OPWDD has nothing to do with it. It's the FI's decision, so we don't need to have a fair hearing." And the administrative law judge in that case said, "That's right, you don't get a fair hearing." And so EB was out of fair hearing. And so EB then went to New York State Supreme Court to bring what's called an Article 78 proceeding to contest that decision, saying that it was arbitrary and capricious, and it was out and out
And
wrong.
I just want to point out one detail here, Marguerite, that when EB went to the fair hearing, they didn't have any support. They didn't have the help of a lawyer. They didn't have the
Correct.
background that we're giving you. So they basically went in defenseless against a lawyer who had honed this argument that, oh, no, you have no right to be here at all.
Right. And which was a ridiculous argument, because cases had been brought for fair hearings on community classes before, but as OPWDD is flailing. I mean, they made it up. It didn't make sense. But anyway, so EB went to Article 78. OPWDD then said, oh, wait a minute. You can come back. We'll give you a fair hearing. But they had already had a fair hearing. You come back. We'll give you a fair hearing now. And the New York Supreme Court, New York County dismissed it. It was appealed up to appellate division, and the appellate division said, yeah, you go back and have your fair hearing. So that was what was really good about that, is that now we have support saying that when OPWDD says that, oh no, you can't have a fair hearing. Oh no, there is a fair hearing right. So that was a really good ruling there.
A win for us.
Yeah,
right.
That was a good win. Good. The next interesting case that is really good was a case in Suffolk County, AK, and she had taken a class. Various other people in the class had been reimbursed by their FIs for the class, but AK's FI said, no, we're not reimbursing it for, and they really didn't give a great reason, saying something that it's not providing community integration or something that, once again, something that's not in the technical guidance. And the court looked at it and said, in view of the fact that neither the FI nor anyone from OPWDD made any attempt to explain why the petitioner's application for reimbursement was being treated in a different manner, the court determined that that would be seen to be the very definition of arbitrary and capricious conduct, which
That's a win.
that was great. And whenever any other FIs have found that this is a allowable community class, it gives a lot of strength to the argument that it is a community class.
This was a New York State court case. So
right.
This is what we want. Well, we don't want this. What we want is we want the nonsense to end.
Yes.
But the way to end the nonsense is to get a judge to look at the law and say, you're not behaving right. That's why, to prevent that, is why we believe they dragged EB back into the
right.
fair hearing process. If you have a right to a fair hearing, then they have to issue you a notice of decision when they say no, informing you of that right.
And then the third case I want to mention is one that a fair hearing that I brought last year, and that once again, it was a class. The individual had taken the predecessor class to it. She went to take the spring class, and the FI said, no, you can't take that. It's not open to the public. It was. Now, what changed? What happened? Why was it allowable in the fall and not allowable in the spring? And they just said, well, the training, we just got training and clarified that. We went to fair hearing. The ALJ and it was affirmed by the commissioner of the Department of Health agreed. This is open to the public. And then what was really good about this case is that they went through element by element of how you determine a community class and found that each one was met by this class. The decision of how you determine whether something's a community class is binding on OPWDD and the FIs.
Delay and deny.
That's right.
What's fascinating is in the case that was going into Article 78 that they wanted to drag back, they said, oh, there is a right to a fair hearing, come back to the fair hearing. In the fair hearing that was won, they have now turned around and said there's no right to a fair hearing.
Stymied it.
So they're taking one position or the opposite depending upon
Yeah.
which one they think will prevent progress.
Yeah, I mean,
It's
it's just
infuriating.
that those are the cases that I'm aware of.
Can I add something?
We have a celebrity here.
So I'm the EB case, and yeah, we are currently discussing our next steps, and having been thrown back from the first division, whether we go to the top appeals court, which we probably are going to do. So it will be interesting. I think there's like, it seems to be political, you need like strong judges to be able to put their foot down and say, wow, this is really exposing some major issues and we want to look at it, rather than make you go back. For people who are filing new fair hearings, one of the things I did was not keep it narrow and like rant and rave about all the other things and the reasons for it, and the, you know, what I consider the other rights that, you know, lack of due process that was granted, because they're not, when they deny something, they should be telling us what are our rights and what we can do, and they're just keeping really quiet about that. So I just wonder whether we can have like something that everyone can choose to add, so that it goes into every case, and that means that we set ourselves up really well for if people have the bottle to go, you know, if they're denied, or even if they partially win their case but get denied the other things, that means you could like go on.
Lots of great thoughts, and we'll move on to the next segment, which is mine, rapidly through it to get to the Ombuds, which is really where a lot of our questions will be answered. So the coalition has published several times. This is our third update now of our guidance about community classes, and I've put the link into the chat. I'll put it again. I'll put it again now so that it's right there for people. What we did this time is we put together a 2-page version of the guidance. And the reason we were able to do a 2-page version versus the prior version, which was about 20 pages, and the updated detailed version will be up to 25. The reason we were able to get it down to 2 pages is because of a new thing that is available to us, and that is the Ombuds. So right there in the middle of the diagram, the very first thing after your first fiscal intermediary says no to you, contact the Ombuds. The Ombuds has lots of material. They have lawyers on staff. They are funded and they are open for business, ready to help you. So they are going to be able to guide you through the process.
Are you sharing the screen, Jim? Because
Oh, I thought I was sharing a screen.
No, I see you. I see you. Am I?
I see you as well. Let me
There's
try
tabs
sharing.
at the top, so you can toggle between view the screen or view the meeting. So Jackie, you want to
Me? That's my problem.
Ah,
Okay.
it was a
Thank
user
you.
error. Okay. So
Thank you.
thank you for that technical help. So the other steps remain very much the same. Our recommendation from C4SD is that you file for a fair hearing. That starts a 90-day countdown that hasn't been honored by New York State, but we can then demonstrate that they're not honoring it. We did put in something, we've had it all along there about how you can continue funding. You can have a request to continue funding. The bad news is if you request to continue funding, but then you lose your fair hearing, you will have to almost certainly pay back that money over time. But if you're planning on paying out of pocket anyway, there's no downside to it. We recommend that you go through the fiscal intermediary internal process now with help from IDDO. That's the, oops, sorry. Help from IDDO, the IDD Ombuds. And it's possible that through that grievance process, we've heard from many people who get to yes through that process. If they say no, as they often do, it's really your choice. You can do nothing. You can file the 63312, but as Marguerite indicated, we found that's largely a waste of time. And it's a little confusing, but this fiscal intermediary grievance process is considered to be part of that 63312. So do the part with the fiscal intermediary. Afterward, our recommendation is that you continue with the fair hearing, and with help from IDDO, prepare for the fair hearing. They're not allowed to actually attend it with you, but that might be a place where C4SD can jump in and assist. We're going to be passing things back and forth between C4SD and IDDO, what they're allowed and not allowed to do. And if you don't get the fair hearing result that you want, and for some reason I'm not able to erase, my apologies, then you can find another class, you can pay out of pocket, or you can go to an Article 78. We don't have that on that diagram, and I might not add it simply because our hope is that that's only going to impact one person out of 10,000. We're hoping that most people will get good satisfaction from going through this process. The 2-pager is on our site already. We're going to have that updated 25-pager posted there soon. But what I want to do now is really turn this over to our colleagues at IDDO to talk to you about their process.
So it's true what Jim says. We are funded and we do have the resources. I have a staff of total 11, 6 staffing the helpline, a helpline that is open from 9 a.m. to 5, and then an email and form that you can sort of like reach out for help. We are seeing a lot of community class denials, and we are helping people understand how to navigate that process and make sure that, but go through the process. We want to make sure that the way that in a perfect world, when we start doing sort of like that sort of like education piece, we want to make sure that people are requesting the class and perhaps using sort of like a template to clearly show that it meets the prongs needed to get the class approved. What I'm also seeing that is really frustrating for me personally is that the responses from the FI is very inconsistent and like one word sometimes, and absolutely does not tell someone what their rights are. And like I have to then assume that a one-word reply to an email is my denial, and that I'm gonna move based on that, and that perhaps is an avenue for advocacy so that it's more consistent across the board. But yes, we are helping people go through the process. Request a fair hearing to get the clock started, and at the same time, perhaps ask for a reconsideration. Personally, I'm a parent of a 6-year-old with autism in self-direction. I went through the process. I was very willing to go through the fair hearing because I wanted to test it out. But upon like writing a reconsideration, a strong worded reconsideration email, I call it reconsideration email, it was approved. So like I think sometimes it does get approved through that, like Jim said, but I do want to see the fair hearing process through. I want to say that I also want to utilize the 633.12 sometimes. I want to see how that works. I know it's underutilized, and I think that with resources we should test it out and see what happens so that we have some data and understanding of processes. I think that thank you, Rachel, for adding our number and our email. I think so. Yes, we're open for business. We have been for over a month. We are seeing a bunch of community classes denials, and we are helping people through that process. And I also want to say that we cannot resolve, like, we are in a situation to help and advocate, but unfortunately it's really hard. Some of the denials are really, I think wrong. And, I wish that I could just do something to change that, because I think, quite frankly, they're silly and they're very inconsistent. I have my son attends a swimming class, definitely open to the public, and I'm seeing an FI denying a specific FI telling everybody that they're going to stop approving it because it's not really open to the public. So that sort of like inconsistencies between FIs, it's really detrimental to people and, you know, sort of like disrupts what they're used to. And that's just an example. So I don't know if I miss anything. I mean, do you guys have questions about process or?
If you're willing, Floor, we can kind of open the phones for about 5-10 minutes here, and
Oh, you mean
see what kind of questions are
Yeah.
coming in. And Katie Sweeney is the fastest with raising hands, so
Quick draw.
so
Dr.
jump in there, Katie.
Dr. Yeah, you just give a high level overview of what
Katie,
is.
your audio quality is you're breaking up.
Sorry. Come back to me.
Okay.
Melanie?
Thanks. I did put this in the chat, but I'll ask. Would it be of use, and would you be available to, when there's another fair hearing, you just said this is a systematic problem, you know, could that be valuable, and would you be able to do that as a point of principle?
So, well, I know that Jim and I think Jim said there is a desire to do some advocacy to sort of like change some things about us being able to rep. At the moment, we cannot officially rep, but it is very clear, and I have sort of like articulated that we will help people preserve their rights and understanding their rights and preparing for a fair hearing. I don't know if, you know, I can ask, I don't know if we would be able to go and testify. Now, we can help people prepare something perhaps in writing to sort of like, you know, explain that to the ALJ, the administrative law judge at the fair hearing itself.
In the interim, though, we are looking for any family members, parents, siblings that are attorneys that would be willing to help families pro bono. I mean, that's how Melanie got helped. Marguerite's been helping, but we've got 2 people. We really need more. So if you've got that within your wherewithal and your networks, if you could please reach out to us and let us know, we would really appreciate it.
If you're a lawyer or you know a lawyer,
Yeah.
let us know.
Can I
Well, you
say
play one in a
something?
TV show.
Fair hearings don't need to be attended by attorneys necessarily. In our other programs, I mean, I think
Article 78 we do.
Oh, sorry. I didn't hear that part. I apologize.
That's okay.
Yeah, well, hopefully we
Okay.
won't go to Article 78, but yes, Fleur, if there's people who have generated enough expertise, or want to learn how to generate that expertise to represent and assist people at fair hearings, that can definitely happen.
So is Katie working now?
Yeah, we'll get to Katie in just a
Okay.
second, but I want to make 2 points very quickly. The IDDO exists because of advocacy by parents and other advocates stretching out over a decade. Unfortunately, we missed out on 2 things in the law as enacted. And the first is they're not authorized to actually go to fair hearings. And the second one, and I'm kicking myself for having missed this, is they're not authorized to report directly to the legislature. The IDDO reports to OPWDD, and so the Fox gets to decide whether or not to pass on the report. I said that, not Fleur. So that's just something that we're going to be advocating for in this legislative session, is for the IDDO to be able to represent at fair hearings and for the IDDO to be able to report directly to the legislature. And with that, Katie, you are up.
Yeah, that's definitely a good news, bad news, right? Good news, the IDDO exists. Bad news is they report OPWDD, but it's baby steps, right? My question was, not being a lawyer and not knowing the different proceedings, what is this? What is the 63312? What is that?
It's the due process rights under the statute. I can pull it up. Rachel, can you help me pull it
Oh,
up?
that's okay. I'm sure it's
So here's the way. Can you file a 63312, go through that process and an OTDA hearing at the same time?
I think you can. I'm gonna, that's a very good,
Look,
because
it's
the problem,
another way, Katie, you know?
Yeah,
I'm
and
pulling
we
it
want
up
to
now.
understand that it's very underutilized. People don't use it because they don't know about it. We had a meeting
Well,
about
it doesn't work either.
You
that.
know,
But, you know, we need
Yeah.
some data to see it and advocate for
Yeah,
it.
jump in here, Marguerite.
yeah, it's not underutilized. It's not being responded to by OPWDD. I filed 4 of them,
Correct.
and they ignore it. And
That's interesting to me because I met with them and I was told that that's good information,
listen,
Marguerite, for
I
me.
would be happy to go over with you what the filings I've had. And there was also an FI broker training where OPWDD put on someone to explain 633.12. And basically what he said was that, oh, well, if you can't use it for community classes because you haven't been deprived of your community class funds. Even if you've been denied, one community class hasn't been approved, that doesn't mean that you can't take other community classes. So 633.12 doesn't apply. And
that's a variation of the argument they've made about fair hearings.
That's not what the statute says, and that's not. It's just not there, and they make it up. And unfortunately, that's what
that's the problem, Floor.
But I would be very happy to show you what. It's not under you. It's under recognized.
Ineffective.
I don't think there's data. Another thing is I asked in a meeting that I had is like, is there some data about it? And there was none. So you obviously have more experience than me in this realm. So I
not a lot of experience, but I file them anyway just because there's an avenue to go. I'll try it. And it's been futile, but that doesn't mean that it will always be that way.
I'll report back what I find. I've heard that there's some changes that were going to be made to this process. And so, yeah, I'll follow up on that.
Thank you, Floor.
Hi, Floor and everybody. This is Rachel Schumann. I see kind of a lot of things in the chat about like finding legal representation. So, Floor, I feel like do we have any additional resources?
We can share. So NILP is our partner as a specialist agency, and one of the things that we want them to do is sort of like gather some legal referral process in the list for us to share. Perhaps I can follow up with them on that.
That would be great because we've tried with them and DRNY on different things. So we might need to change our approach because they didn't seem to have the bandwidth to take families specifically.
Yeah, not themselves. I don't think they're doing it themselves, unfortunately. Right. They're just finding others, depending on the region, who may be able to help. But
yeah, it hasn't happened yet. So we'd really appreciate some help there. That'd be great. If you could open some doors for us, that'd be fantastic.
I'm in Westchester. Someone asked about that. I live in Westchester. The class is Abilities by Jennifer. And
the swim. Okay.
There've been some suggestions put into the chat about possibilities for legal representation. So we have to say we've reached out to several of the organizations and so far haven't gotten a lot of satisfaction. But if we don't keep knocking on the door, their door won't get dented. So so let's keep knocking. Again, IDDO exists because of a decade of advocacy. So if we keep pushing, we do make progress. We'll take one more question if there's one out there, and then I'll turn it over to Susanna to bring us home. With hearing no questions, I'll just say thank you so much, Fleur and Rachel, for coming here today. And
you're like the cavalry. We're so happy to have your help.
The truth is, we need you. We need you as advocates so that we can find our place. We really want to help, and we are trying to, make a real difference. So thank you for everything, really, and for making this happen for us.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Can I just interrupt for 1 second? Can I just ask Beth Rosenberg, parent, is anyone getting a denial on telehealth, for their ComHab? Because that's my recent, battle, that my FI will not approve like a telehealth.
Throw that in the chat, and we'll take that offline and see.
Okay.
I haven't heard of anything. I haven't gotten too much from folks in the emails. That's pretty much been community class denials, but let us look into that. We'll get back to
Jackie.
Historically, there have been some other rules made up, like, oh, you can't have ComHab after 9 o'clock at night, because of course people with developmental disabilities cease to exist when it gets dark out, and things like that. So there'll be other things besides community classes, other battles to be fought. But Susanna, if you want to bring us on home here, and again, thank you to IDDO.
Hi, everyone. I'm back, Susana Montes. Yes, I have a few announcements. We have committees in this Coalition for Self-Direction. Two of those committees are the employment. And I understand that there's a meeting tomorrow at 12 noon. If you are interested in participating, let us know. I think it's at 12 noon. I wouldn't know the way to join the meeting, but if you are interested, let us know and we will make sure that you get the information to participate. And there's another meeting also, the Housing Committee, which I know is going to happen, I believe it's February 5th. Please, Jim, correct me if I'm wrong.
That's right.
I'm not sure about the time, but also if you are interested, 3 o'clock. If you are interested in participating, please let us know and we will make sure that you get the proper information so that you can attend. These meetings, they are very, very helpful because it really gets a group of parents and we start like brainstorming and thinking of ideas and, a way of continuous self-direction, for our loved ones, maybe especially for when we are not here. Also, I wanted to, again, encourage you to please contact your community legislators. And I know this was already mentioned. If you know any lawyers that can help us, this is something that we are going to need because we are not going to stay with our arms closed, like not allowing, the classes that were helping our loved ones to be taken away from them. They need their services and self-direction is a way to get their services. Also, something I wanted to mention is that this is a coalition of volunteers. We all are volunteers. Stacy, Jim, Jackie, myself, Maui, and we are participating. We are participating, parent participation 100%, which means that we all put monies from our pockets to help on our efforts. So what I would like to ask you, if you can, please donate. Now we are a 501(c)(3) established, which means that you're gonna get something back, later on in your taxes because you're donating to a 501(c). We need your help. We really are doing the best we can to help our loved ones, and like I mentioned, we all send money, we pay money from our own pockets to really keep this going, because we need this. This is like, if I'm incorrect, Jim, please correct me, but this is like the only parent leading organization helping ourselves, So please help us out. Anything you can donate.
They're just asking, how do they donate? So they can go to the website and there's a page that says donate. Right now, we're not set up to have credit cards, but I'll have it by next week now that the 501(c)(3) is through. But if you could Zelle, it's very simple, or there's an address where you could mail the check. We'd be really very, very grateful. We've got a lot of expenses and we're all paying for it and we could really use some help.
Yes, that's right. And again,
put it in the chat. Thank you.
Please educate your legislators. They are willing to hear you. Just call them, email them, send a letter. Let us know if you need help getting empowered to connect with them, because the way that we get them on board is going to help us get these classes problem resolved. So please reach out, let us know how we can help you, and please also help us help all of us and donate. Thank you so much.
helpful. Somebody asked me what the Zell is. Coalition #4 SDS@gmail.com. That's us.